Here are 10 project management reports you need to know inside of Monday.com to make project management easier and more profitable. I'll be explaining what they are and how to set them up. By the way, if you'd like us to help you set up Monday.com for your business, check out the link below. We would love to help. So as you can see here, I'm inside of our Monday.com system. Now I have a project management system set up already, and then we want to report on the information that we have available in our system here, as you can see. If you're not familiar with how to manage projects within Monday.com, I suggest you have a look at some other videos on my channel, get the basics set up first, then you can look at the reporting. But first thing we need to do when managing projects, or when managing reports actually, is to go ahead and create a new dashboard. So this is going to be our project management dashboard. This is where we're going to pull information from all of our various boards, so projects, phases and tasks, into one place, and then chop all of the data up and report on it, so we can see how profitable we are, how many projects have we got going on at any given time, blah 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 blah, all of these fancy data points. So I've given our dashboard a name. Our privacy options can either be main or private. Main meaning that this particular dashboard will be available to everyone inside of your system. Alternatively, you can select private. Now, private is probably recommended, especially as you're going to be looking at things like profitability, who's doing what they're responsible for, but it's entirely up to you. Private means only you and select individuals can have access to the dashboard. So create the dashboard, that's step one. Then we're going to go ahead and select the boards that we want to pull data from. Now in this particular instance, it's going to be projects, phases and tasks. Depending on how you're managing your projects, you might just have projects and tasks. You might have more boards. I'd recommend less boards, but watch the other videos on my channel. Anyway, let's get straight into it. The first thing that we're going to want to look at is the average time to complete a task. So how do we set that up first and foremost? We go to our tasks board here, and we've got 3 different columns, 2 date columns and 1 formula column. So you can see here, we've got a date created, we've got a date completed, and then we've got TTC, which means time to complete or time to close. So this column is restricted and automated. So what will happen is when a new item is added to the tasks board, so if I were to add a new task now, it automatically populates the date created as today. So the automation says when item created inside of Monday.com, then set the date column date created to today. That allows us to track when a new item is created. Then we have date completed, and this is essentially when the status of the task is equal to completed, then set the date completed to today. So the automation is exactly that within Monday.com. And then by doing that, we have a formula column, which is days, date completed, date created. If you're not familiar with how to make this particular formula, all you need to do is just write into the AI assistant, give me the difference in days between date created and date completed. Yeah, that's the one. And it will work it all out for you, as opposed to you having to muddle through it. But then the result is this. So it gives you the number of days. So I'm going to go ahead and move that there. And then I'm just going to set this one up and say, what did we select? The 30th there. So then I've got 2 different tasks. Both of them marked as completed. And you can see here, we've got 6 days and 29 days for each of the tasks. We want to see the average amount of days it takes to complete a task. So we'd add a widget in the top left-hand corner. We've got a few different widgets. I'll come on to what the options are later as we go through the video. But in this instance, we just want a numbers column. Okay. So this is going to be average days to complete a task. Hit enter. Then we're going to go to the 3 dotted button and go to settings for this particular widget within the dashboard. And then the first thing that I would recommend doing, just going to boards, and the only thing we want, the only board we want here is our tasks board. And then because we want average days to complete a task, we don't want to do and doing tasks, we just want completed tasks. Otherwise that's going to skew our data. And then go to our numbers column, and I would recommend going columns and then just go one by one and just select TTC. And then go to customize, and then you're going to want the calculation to be average, and then the decimal place is probably, you could either have 1 decimal place, 17.5 days, so half a day, or you could just have none. It's entirely up to you. And then you can add a unit, so I'm just going to add a unit of days here. So we've got 18 days. I might just add 1 back, looks a bit cooler, you know, a bit more like nerdy data type stuff. So we've got I don't know what that means. So we've got average days to complete a task, 17.5 days. So I know on average, the number of days it takes to complete a task across the entire team, across the entire business is 17.5 days. Now, obviously that's not particularly good, but this is dummy data. So whatever. But I think this is just, to start with, a helpful piece of information to know. The next thing that we want to look at is the average time to complete a project. So if we go to our projects board, we've got exactly the same setup here. So we've got date created, we've got date completed, and then TTC, so time to complete. I'm just going to recreate this again. So we've got 28th and the 7th, and I'm just going to move them both down to our completed group. The reason we use the groupings and why the groupings are important is because if this is empty, and you're tracking from these projects here, which are still open, they're not completed, then this takes into consideration the average. So we only want the average of the completed projects. So the same setup, we've got date created, date completed, TTC. It's identical to what we've just done on tasks. So when item created, set date created to today. When status changes to completed, set date completed to today. And then the formula is days, brackets, date completed, comma, date created. The same prompt within the AI assistant, give me the difference in days between date created and date completed. So now we have that, we can go ahead and add another widget. It's going to be our numbers widget, and this is going to be average time to complete a project, or average days, let's say, to complete a project, average days to complete a project. 3 dotted button settings. We want to go to, first and foremost, just boards, unselect projects and phases or whatever you've got. We just want our tasks here. The only group we want is our completed group, and then customize. We just want to go to the numbers column first, go one by one, and then just select TTC. Sorry, we don't want our tasks. What am I talking about? We want our projects, don't we? Yeah, projects. There we go. So numbers column, we want our TTC on the project. There we go. And then we can customize this, select it as an average, put the unit as days, and then go manual. I find that very hard to believe that it's exactly the same, but oh well, let me just check. So yeah, projects, groups, so remove that. So just completed projects. Weird. Maybe I've selected the same days or something. I probably have. So what we could do is just go on here, and I'll change this to the 24th. So that should then update and say the average days complete a project is 15.5 days. Again, this is just quite useful information, I'd say. The next thing that we're going to look at is the average revenue per project. Now, obviously, I've got this set up within our system. So you can see here that for this particular example, project number 1, we've got a revenue of 240,000, 66,000 in cost, and then our project profit. This is feeding from our phases. So you can see here that this is a text column, text or numbers column, sorry. Revenue per phase, multiple phases per project, cost per phase, consequently profit per phase, which then obviously rolls up to the project via a mirror column. So we've got all of that information available to us here. What we then want to be able to do is report on the average revenue per project. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to connect item 4 to a separate project. Let's just say these two are connected to item number 3, which is a project in itself. Let's just say the revenue is 55,000 for phase 1, and then it's 28,000. I'm literally making this up, phase 2. So if I go to my projects here, you can see that this is example project number 2. Hit enter. You can see that our revenue here is 83,000. What I'm also going to do is just delete these other dummy data points because it skews the data. It takes the average even though that it's blank. So we've got our revenue of 83 and 240. I want to see our average revenue per average revenue per project. So average revenue per project. So I'll go 3 dotted button, go to settings, and then the board that we want in this instance is our project, not a phase. We want the groups. We can have all of them as it doesn't really matter at this stage. And then we want one by one, and then we want revenue, and then we want to customize this as an average. Unit's going to be the dollar, and then I would have 2 decimal places here. So now I can see our average revenue per project. If I just go back to our projects board, revenue for this one is 83,000. Revenue for this one is 240,000. The average was 100 and whatever it was. So if you've not got the phases set up and you're literally managing revenue on a project level, then you'll have a numbers column that shows you your project revenue, and you can manage it from here. If you're using phases, it rolls up anyway. You can still get the average. You can see here average revenue per project, which is really, really important. Now, just coming back to this and just on the project level, we might have different project types. So you can see here that I have project type AA. I also have project type BB. I want to be able to see our average revenue per project type. So this is just a spin on this existing report here, but it's going to be slightly different. So in this instance, we're going to add a widget. It's actually going to be a chart instead of just the numbers here. And then this is going to be our average revenue per project type. Hit enter. And then what we can go ahead and do, 3 dotted button settings. The board that we want is just our project, so we don't need phases or tasks. The groups is going to be all of them. Chart type is just going to be a standard bar graph. Our x-axis is going to be our project type. Our y-axis is going to be our revenue, not our count items. And then I just want an average, and then we can customize. You can show some, you can mess around with all of the kind of the different settings within Monday for this. But essentially, this was showing me my average revenue per project type. On average, we do 83,000, and on average for revenue project type AA, we do 240. That's only because we have two here. If I change this to AA as well, this will update. We've only got one project type, but it will show us our average. Our average on here matches there. But you can see why it's quite important. What's the average revenue per project type, and also just the average revenue per project. I count that as the same report, but I suppose putting a different spin on it might be considered slightly differently. The next thing we want to do, which is, in my opinion, the most important report you can do for any project management, is your profitability. So we want to look at profit per project as an average, and then profit per project by project type. So same principle applies here. We're obviously managing cost at a phase level. So I'm just going to add cost to this one. So 20, let's just say 22,000, and then we'll say 15,000. So now I can see the profit for these two phases, for example, project number 2, and I'm just going to change the naming of here. So we're all super familiar with what's going on. Phase 2, hit enter. And then you can see we've got, what's this? Example project number 1. I'll just delete this as we don't really need it. We've got phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 for example project number 1, and we've got phase 1 and phase 2 for example project number 2. If I go to my project, you can see how that then rolls up. 83,000 revenue, 240,000 in revenue for 2 different projects. That's obviously not changed. I did just add the cost for this particular, for the phases associated with this project. That's given us a profitability for this project, and our profitability for this project is we have costs associated with both of them. Then I want to go ahead and add a new widget on our project management dashboard, and I want to see average profit per average profit project, average profit per project, got there in the end. And then we go 3 dotted button, go to settings, and again we want to go to boards. All I want here is our projects board. The groups can be all of them, and then we want to go columns 1 by 1, and we want to go project profit. I want to customize it. I want to see an average manual 2 decimal places, and then the unit being the dollar. And I can see here on average our profit is $110,000. Is that right? Yeah, probably is. 174, 46,000, 110. Is that an average of the two? I'm guessing so. I mean, that's fantastic. Average project profit, average profit per project is $110,000. I mean, that is a dream, right? Well, if you're doing multi-billion-dollar projects, then probably not. But for most people, that'd be pretty good, right? So then we want to look at what's our average profit per project by project type. So we'll add a widget. This time it's going to be a chart. Average profit per project type. We go 3 dotted button, settings again. Board that we want just projects, don't need phases, don't need tasks. Groups can remain the same. Chart type is going to be bar graph, so exactly the same. We want 1 by 1, we want project type, then we want y-axis 1 by 1, and we want it to be our project profit, and we want to see that as an average. We can customize that if we want benchmark lines, blah, 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 blah. So now I can see our average profit per project type. Important to note here, if I change the project type of one of our projects that we are using as an example, it would then split, and I can see the average profitability. Obviously, because there is only one project per project type, it's not giving us an average, it's giving us a total, or at least it appears it's not giving us an average, but it is in fact giving us an average. So all of this key data. The third one, well, actually, you could do cost. You know how cost works. I'm not going to go through that in this video. What's the average cost per project? How much that matters, I don't know. The biggest and most important one is the average profit per project. So I can see here, well, project BB or project type BB is evidently not nearly as profitable as project type AA. Do we stop doing this? Do we need to fix how we're delivering this particular project or this type of project? Stuff that you would obviously want to consider, but you can only really make those assessments and judgments when you have the data available to you. So there you go. It's available to you. Next one that we want to look at is number of open tasks by user. So obviously we have our tasks board, who is assigned what. So you can see Alex is assigned one, that's completed. I've got one, I've got two that are not completed. Alex has got one, so Kill's got one. So you can see we've got a few different tasks here. They're all open. I want to see the open tasks by user, or the total number of tasks open by user. So create a new chart here. So open tasks by user, and this just allows me to see who's more busy, who's less busy. Maybe there's someone that's got no open tasks, maybe there's someone that's got loads of open tasks, and they need to know, what are you doing? Are you working in the moment or are you not? So we go to boards, we want projects, phases gone. Groups, we want to do and doing, so they're, in my opinion, considered open. Chart type can remain bar. Our x-axis is going to be our person, and then the y-axis is going to be one by one, going to be count items. And then you can customize this however you like. You can have some benchmark lines. Same principle applies though. I can see here, Alex has one, Sakil has one, I have two open tasks. Now, obviously, you're going to have a larger team, I suspect, and also people are going to have a lot more tasks than two. But it's helpful to be able to see this information, because then you might notice an outlier. In this particular instance, I'm an outlier because I've got double the amount of tasks open that everyone else has, but you might find someone has no tasks or loads of tasks, and then you can find out why. So hopefully that's quite helpful. Cool. The next one is another profit one. These are my favorite. So what we want to look at here is the profit, total profit per month. Okay. The way we're going to look at this is actually with our phases. Now, it can be done with projects as well. It's entirely up to you. But essentially what we want to look at is, actually, shall I do it just on a project level? Because most people are going to be just working on projects. Let's do that. So we'll just work on projects. Phases, if you're using phases, I would argue it's more advanced anyway, so you can work that one out. But what we want to look at is the profitability of our projects per month. The way we're going to manage this is by the date completed. So we want to go ahead and create a new widget. This is going to be our chart. I'm just going to put this on this side because my big head is likely to be in the way. And then we're going to go profit per month. Now, you can call it what you want, obviously. Three-dotted button, go to settings. Our x-axis is going to be, well, actually, firstly, we need to go to boards. We want to just work on our projects here. So x-axis is going to be date completed. We're going to use the date completed to indicate our profitability on a monthly basis. This isn't necessarily 100% accurate. This also depends on your billing structure and how you bill with your projects. But we're just assuming that we want to see the profitability of our projects by when they're completed. So if they're completed in May, then that profitability accounts for May. They're completed in September, the profitability accounts for September, and no other month. The reason being is we can't obviously track the profit per month when projects are live, because they would give inaccurate data. So I just want to see the project profit per month based on, so x-axis being the date completed, the y-axis being the project profit. I want the sum. You can add, let's say, if you wanted to add a benchmark line of this is our, so let's say 100 minimum profit. You can add some fancy lines on here. And then the group that I want, the only group is the completed projects, okay? So now I can see we've $174,000 in profit for August. And then I can go back to our projects here. We see we've got this secondary one. I'll put this into this group, and then I'm going to add a date completed date of September the 30th, or it doesn't matter as long as it's in a different month. And I can see here that in September, we've done $46,000, assuming that project is already completed. Actually, saying September kind of makes it a little bit confusing, right? So maybe we'll just say this was July. So that project was completed in July, and then I can track the profitability for that particular month, which was 46,000. So you can see our profit per month, okay? Whether you choose to manage it like this, it is a slightly different take on profitability and managing profit per month, but it's entirely up to you. I quite like this system, but again, it's up to you. Take what you will from this video. Another really easy one. I want to look at the number of new projects per month. So this is again why the date created, the date completed is so important. When item created set day created to today, that means that I can track the number of projects created on a monthly basis. So it'd be chart here. I'm just going to reposition this again. New projects per month hit enter, we go 3 dotted button, settings, and then our board is just going to be our projects board, our chart type bar, our x-axis is going to be dates created, our y-axis is going to be our count, customize, find, benchmark lines, find, boards, projects, groups, doesn't matter, we would have all of them. And this is going to show me the number of new projects created on a monthly basis. Again, this is defined by a date created. So if I change this to July, that will then update accordingly. And you'll be able to see that we have one project this month, one project last month. Again, quite helpful. You might have this on your sales system, but I think it's also worth tracking on your project management dashboard as well. New project per month. The next thing that we want to look at is the number of tasks completed per user per month. So this is kind of like open tasks by user, but it's just how many have been completed as opposed to like active. So then we can go ahead and look at our number tasks completed per user per month. So essentially who's more busy, who's less busy. This might not be a perfect indicator because no task is created equal, but we are looking for boards. We just want our tasks board. Chart type is going to be stacked bar graphs. This is slightly new. Stacked bar graph means we can have 3 different variables, not just 2. So our x-axis is going to be date completed, which again, very important. Stacked by is going to be person. And then our y-axis is going to be the count items, okay? So counting the number of items. We can customize this, add benchmark lines if you want. But you can see here, Alex has completed 1 task in August. Now, if I'm just going to click into this. Settings, did we sort the groups out? The only group that we do want here is the completed tasks group, okay? So just bear that in mind. If I go to my tasks here and I move this, and I move, let's just say, I don't know what I'm doing here. Let's just put that. So we've got 3 here. Then I'll just assign that to myself as well, 30th of August. What we are looking at now is, you can see that we've got the different colors. So we've got Alice completed 1, and then I've completed 2 for that particular month. So stacking by, so we're x-axis is month, y-axis is count, stacked by the person. Now you can actually expand this stack as well, which means that if you expand it, you will see it as kind of separate bars per month. The problem with this is if you've got an enormous team, you're going to have loads of bars per month, and then each month of the year is just going to get become an enormous, unruly report to be able to get your head around. So I would probably have it as not an expanded stack, and then I'll be able to see this. And then I guess you're just looking at what's been completed, and how many have been completed per user per month. Has someone completed loads? Has someone completed absolutely nothing at all? That'd be worth being able to see here. And then we have 2 more reports. Again, I want to emphasize, I could go on forever here, especially around the profitability, the revenue as well. I think this stuff's really, really important data, profit per month. You get into like billing cycles. You can start tracking billing cycles against projects in a separate board, but whatever. The next 2 that I just want to look at is active project count. So it's just going to be a numbers, and then I'm going to probably put it, let's say here. No, I do not. And then it's going to be active projects, and this is literally just going to show me the number of active projects that I have. So it's going to go settings, and then we're going to go to boards. I want to get rid of phases and tasks, groups. I just want active or new. Completed and cancelled you can remove. And then numbers column is going to be only one. It's going to be columns 1 by 1. And then I actually just want count there. So that's all I want. I want to be able to count, customize. I don't need to really do anything. The only thing that you might do is add a unit on the right hand side. So you might say projects, 0 projects. So if I go here and update this and put this in the new projects group, you can see that active projects, I've got 1 project active. So the only other thing that I want to then do is I want to have active tasks. Active tasks, and then we want to go 3 dotted button, settings, and then we want to go boards. In this instance, is going to be our tasks board. Our group is just going to be to do or doing, and then it's going to be count, customize. You can add your unit as being tasks here if you would like to, You don't really need to worry about decimal places or things like that, and your groups, and then you're all good. So then you've got active number of projects and active number of tasks. Again, it's just a dashboard. You can click into it, you can see exactly what's going on. This, by the way, this whole setup, what we've worked through here, can be expanded way more. So especially around, let's say, revenue and then cost. So you've got revenue, your cost, and then giving you your profit. Cost can be managed through another board, let's say purchase orders that are approved, also time submissions if you're integrating with the time tracking system, and then those time tracking submissions can be connected to the phase within a project within monday.com. A lot of this can be integrated, automated. You can get really sophisticated with the stuff if you want to, but it's all available as a basic version, and then hopefully you get the idea of how you can potentially expand on this and make this work for your business. But this is pretty much everything that I wanted to go over as just like a basic introduction as a project management dashboard. Like I said, I say this over and over again, there's way more you can do with this. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. I'll try my best to get back to you. I'm not making any promises. If you ask a good question, like a really good question, I will make a YouTube video just like this, responding to your question, explaining exactly how to do the thing that you are asking to do. And then if you need any help setting up monday.com for your business, need any help automating, integrating, doing some of the things I've just discussed, check out the link below. We would love to help. But thank you ever so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.